First and foremost, I want to say happy holidays to you and your family. So today, I want to talk about inflation and why people keep talking about inflation, but people are not getting the message in how this country is reacting to inflation. What can you do about inflation? And who reaps the benefit of inflation? So, of course, I have a chart up here, and it literally talks about stocks in the housing market. But of course, the title is like Middle America Most Exposed in the Housing Bubble. We all know about the housing bubble that happened back in 2008. Some predict it will happen again, and including an economic depression in this country between 2022 and 2023. So let's talk about inflation. There's been a lot of talk on different live streams, TV shows, talk shows, news, including your politicians about inflation. Everybody has their own take on it. How it's bad for the country. How it's bad for the common average everyday man. Now, while you guys are listening to me, I want you to look at that chart, and I want you to look at it real good. Because I'm going to get to that chart, and I'm just going to keep it real here. There are different sets of people who benefit off of inflation, who benefit off of you being poor. And that is the rich, the elite, investors, and yes, the politicians, aka the government. They benefit off of you being poor. There's been a lot of finger pointing about the richer being rich and the poor being poor. And when people talks about that, I kind of just say, okay, interesting. Because all these live streams and politicians and talk shows, they all talk about how it's the man's fault because they're rich. How it's Mr. Charlie's fault because he's rich. And the hard-working Americans, the middle and lower class, they're poor and they can't even keep up because of inflation and how we need to try to help these people out. But guess what? I am here. I am here to give you the blueprint on all of these things. Because all these politicians, they're all going to say the same thing. Doesn't matter if you are Democrat or Republican. They all say the same thing. But I'm going to be that guy that's going to give you the blueprint on inflation. You see, American folks were taught by their parents to go work at these jobs umpteenth years, get a good pension, get good 401k, get insurance and benefits, work there for a long time, get a good pension so you can retire. We all grew up like that. My parents used to tell me that. And we listened to our parents. But times have started to change. A lot of these jobs don't last long. A lot of these jobs go overseas. They're gone. Or for whatever reason, you've been let go. And now we've been hit with a quote-unquote pandemic back in March of 2020. And so a lot of people were laid off, sent home, trying to figure out what they were going to do. So the government gave you a stimulus check to stay at home from work. And you turn around and paid your bills, and you put the money right back into the market. But guess who invested into the market? It says on that chart, that 1%. They made their money online. They made their money through the market. And that's how the rich folks make their money, through their assets. While you are out of a job because of the pandemic, they were making money in their sleep. You see, the rich, the elite, the investors, and yes, politicians, they too have different streams of economic wealth flowing through the economy. That is either through Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, whether they're flipping houses, selling property, whether it's investing in silver and gold, and yes, whether it's flipping baseball cards, selling antique furniture, or antique or old pictures and paintings, making money, making wealth online. The past 3 years, including the pandemic, Caucasian folks made $98.6 trillion online. That was a spike of over 200% in economic wealth that was flowing through America. While we were sitting here and others were sitting trying to figure out how they were going to make ends meet because of inflation, because your job is demanding that you do this and demanding you do that, stay at home, or now that they decide to open the country back up, now people are not going back to work. Why is that? Some just don't want to go back to work because it costs more money to go to work than it is to go to work or go for work. That is where we are right now. And now companies and businesses are struggling just to get people to come in work now. So this is what's happened in this country. We're too busy pointing fingers and not understanding economic wealth. Rich people benefit off of inflation because of you being poor. And like I said, assets, including the stocks and stock market, whether it's options or futures and many others, there are so many ways that you can make money. Like I said, you can do it a way that you could probably understand. You can go to your grandmama's house, grandma's attic, go to your uncle's house. He's got old baseball cards. Come to find out, you come across a Mickey Mantle card. You do the research. You find out that the Mickey Mantle card sold for $5.2 million. And you got thousands of baseball cards that you could be flipping and making money off of in a time of a pandemic or where things shut down. You can invest your money online. You see, I just gave you a plan in which everybody in this society loves to point fingers at rich people and saying that rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. I totally disagree with that. It's all about your mindset. You got to do the research to get the resources to put yourself in the financial game. Because at any given time, this country can shut down. What is your backup plan? What is your plan B? What is your plan C? What is your plan D? You got to have multiple of economic streams to make money in this society. You cannot just depend on one thing. Working 2 jobs ain't going to cut it. Working 3 jobs ain't going to cut it. Because all you're going to do is tire yourself out. Inflation is caused by you not understanding the money system. You got to get out of the rat race. This is how rich the elite, investors, and politicians make their money, through the stocks and the assets in which I just stated a little while ago. As you can see on the chart here, it literally talks about who invests the most in stocks. The top 1% invest the most in stocks, while the bottom 50% barely invest at all in stocks. But when it came to the housing, the 50% and below invest the most when it comes to the housing. Keep in mind, we had a housing market crash 2008, and they predict another one to come soon, including economic depression. And the best way to combat this future economic depression is to invest into the stocks and into the assets in which I just stated. And that comes with research to understand and get to the resources that you need to get financial freedom, just in case point A gets shut down, point B gets shut down, point C, you have other streams of revenue to compete in the top 1%, so you too can be economically secure, just in case something bad happens on a rainy day. Hey, I literally just gave you the blueprint on economic wealth in a society like this. So you don't have to worry about sitting next to Emily at your office job while she's taking feet pictures, which, guess what? There's a market for that too. She knows what she's doing. And then you're sitting next to Tyrone, and Tyrone comes in late, comes in whenever he wants, because he don't give a shit, and they know he don't. Get out of that rat race and have some kind of economic freedom to combat this inflation that the rich investors and the elites and the politicians are depending on you being poor because of their lustful need of inflation. You need to get out of that rat race. I just gave you the blueprint.